guys, Jay here. Welcome to EonsOfBattle. I would like to showcase my Rebel Army because it's just about done. This Rebel Army has been with me for kind of a long time. It's been through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of learning, but now I am really pleased with it. Some of the oldest models in this collection were my first ever try with a newfangled thing called speed paint. Now I use speed paint on just about every single model that I paint, but back in the day, these are some of the very first models that I ever put speed paint on, and whoo, they turned out rough, but I was learning. I have figured out a lot of stuff since then, and some of the oldest models in this collection, like these old Rebel Troopers versus the brand new Rebel Troopers that I've just painted, there is a phenomenal amount of growth in this army, and I am really liking it. It's a really interesting experience to have been worse at painting and have some of those old models from that era, and have some new models that with all of my new experience that I can put on them, but also these are literally new versions of the older minis. Right now, a lot of the old school models are getting redone in plastics, and the new plastics are so much older than the old PVC. Gaming companies don't make PVC minis. They're not very good. And the new plastics are so nice. The reason that I have a Rebel Army is just my general humongous love of Star Wars, but also a Star Wars miniature war game. When I first heard that this game was coming out, I knew that I would one day own every model in the game, every faction in the game, and I am well on my way. I have my Rebels completed, actually have my Imperial Army completed. I've got a smattering of the battle droids, and I don't feel like I need to do the clones. I really like Clone Troopers. The Clone Wars TV show is some of the best Star to ever Wars, but I could live without the clones, especially if it means that I get to move on to the battle droids. But I knew that the army that I was least interested in was the Rebel Alliance. I like the Rebels, but they're not my favorite. And so I thought I'll start with those guys, I'll get them out of the way, and then I can move on to the really cool stuff. But in painting up the Rebels, I have discovered I absolutely love these guys. All of the little aliens with all of the weird Star Wars-y colors that are on them are so much fun. Even though most of these guys are different shades of army guy, there's a little something to them, and I really like them. Also, when Rogue One came out, I saw Rogue One twice in theaters. It was one of the coolest Star Wars movies, and it was so cool to actually see it in a movie theater. Immediately after that movie, I wanted to go back and play with all my toys and my Legos. It rejuvenated my love of Star Wars, but also the love of just the Rebel Alliance. I read a lot of the Star Wars comic books, and I love the original movies. When I was growing up as a wee lad, we owned, I think, 4 movies on VHS, and 3 of them were Star Wars. Star Wars 1, 2, and 3, A New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi, and Jurassic Park. And I was too little to reach the VCR that was on top of the TV, so as soon as Star Wars would end, I would just take the remote and I would rewind the tape, and then watch it again. Over and over. I've seen Star Wars an impossible number of times. And it's so cool to now get to experience Star Wars as little itty bitty miniatures. Like Cassian Andor and K2SO from Rogue One. Also, just taking the things from Star Wars and putting them onto a miniature is really easy to do. Everything is made to look really good on screen, and so it also looks really good in miniature form. And these models are a little bit smaller than 40K models. They're on 25mm bases exclusively, except for some of the vehicles, which is so nice. Games Workshop, Warhammer 40,000, there's 25 different basing sizes, and they always go with the biggest base possible for every miniature. And there's something magical about all of my little army men being on little army man bases. I feel like this is the appropriate size for an infantry miniature. But these miniatures, pulled right from the big screen, are so much fun to paint, and really fun to paint with speed paints. These 2 guys were painted with speed paints, and my original Rebel Troopers were painted with speed paint. It turns out that you have to thin the stuff a lot. Sometimes undercoating goes a long way in getting things to look proper. A little bit of paint chipping, a little bit of dry brushing can also go a long way to bringing out some of the details and make the speed paint look smoother and blendier. I find it's so easy to paint up Star Wars Legion miniatures and have them look really good without too much effort. In this army, I actually think I discovered the first time I thought that I could paint anything if I try hard enough, Sabine Wren. This model took me like 10 hours to paint, and I went into it knowing that I wanted to recreate Sabine Wren as she's seen in the show, Star Wars Rebels. Not my favorite show, but Sabine's cool. And just pouring effort and time and work into this mini, and then getting this result out of it, like taught me that I have the ability to do whatever I want with painting if I just put in enough effort. I was also pouring in that effort because I thought Sabine would be the epic hero of my entire army. Turns out she's just an operative, so she can't be my overall hero, but that's okay. I really, really like how she turned out. And I feel like she fits really well with this army that I've constructed, which is a little bit more of like a Return of the Jedi, going through the forest kind of army. Rebels could be fighting anywhere, but I decided to set my guys in the forest. They're not necessarily, I guess they kind of are on Endor, because on a lot of the figures, I've glued on these little Ewoks that Nick printed for me, and they're adorable. They're small enough that I can even fit them on these tiny 25mm bases, and they just add another lovely little touch. Although, since I did that, Ewoks have actually been added to the game, so I should maybe get a couple squads of those so that this army can be even more thematic. Another thing that I absolutely love in this collection is my triple ATRT. I bought, I think, 2 of these in an eBay lot, and one of them I actually bought new in box. And I think the ATRT makes perfect sense for the Rebel Alliance. Could the Rebels drive the ATRTs? They could in Star Wars Battlefront 2, but the real Star Wars Battlefront 2, the old one. The new one's fine, it's cool, and it's kind of cool that the gunplay and like it just looks so much better. But there's something classic about Star Wars Battlefront 2. I think I have hundreds of hours in just captured the flag on the Death Star, Star Wars Battlefront 2. I absolutely love that game. And the ATRTs look really, really good with the Rebel iconography and kind of the Rebel color scheme. Also, that big old vehicle base gives a lot of room for Ewoks. I'm gonna have to make Nick print me up a couple more so that I can get the bases done on these second ATRTs. Also, magnetized. It's not really essential to magnetize things in Star Wars Legion because all of the upgrades and all of the characters have cards associated with them, so you can just have the, what gun is this? This is like the minigun gun as opposed to the flamethrower or the ion cannon. And so you can just have the card with you, and if your opponent's like, oh, which gun is that? You can point to ion cannon. But I kind of do like it magnetized. Although I'm not sure that I know where the other parts are. They're magnetized and they are somewhere, I think in this house, but right now the only ones that I know where they are the ones that are currently stuck on the miniatures. Speaking of vehicles though, one thing, like the reason that I knew like I can do a Rebel army, there's enough juice here, there's enough that I'm excited about to paint these guys. The Luke's Landspeeder, the militarized Luke's Landspeeder is so cool with the Rodion and the Twi'lek gunners. And the actual pilot himself, I painted up as Marty McFly from the Back to the Future movies. It's such a genius idea to take one of these and turn it into a militarized vehicle for the Rebel Alliance. I keep snapping this off of the base, but it's currently the glue is still holding, so that's nice. But I really love this vehicle. I painted it up in classic Luke's Landspeeder colors, but I kind of do want a second one of these suckers to just kind of go crazy with it. Like make it like a showroom piece, like the one that would actually be displayed in Star Warsy magazines, but then they've bolted guns and stuff all over it. Such a cool vehicle. I had the Lego set. It's like one of my earliest memories is the really bad Lego set, the OG one with yellow skin Luke and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I had this Lego set. It was really cool. It was probably like 10 pieces because Lego sets had no Lego pieces back in the day. I really like the Star Wars vehicles, and Star Wars Legion is a great opportunity to get to experience some of those vehicles. And this sucker, the A5 speeder truck, oh, this thing, look at this monstrous vehicle. I think that Star Wars Legion is actually to scale, which is a little bit unusual in war games. Like Warhammer 40,000, the vehicles are half scale, if not even smaller, to make them a little bit more reasonable in a war game. But look at this monster vehicle. I mean, I would imagine it is to scale because the crew are hanging out of the doors. You got the little pilots permanently trapped behind the glass windscreen. The inside there has got like seats and gun racks. The party bus is so ridiculously cool. Look at those engines. They're so deep in there. And I painted on the red, making it all scuffed up like it's nice and beat up. I love this vehicle. It is so cool. I do kind of like the giant pill base that it's on, and it's just a brick. It reminds me of the 40K Rhino. I don't know if this has its origin. It must have its origin somewhere in Star Wars, but I don't recognize it from anything in particular. It looks a little like the Star Tours vehicle from the old Disney ride, but it's definitely not that. There's differences. I don't know where it's from, but it is very clearly a Star Wars thing. It also reminds me a lot. I used to have a Dodge Grand Caravan, and driving that thing around, it handles like a boat, and I imagine this thing handles very similarly to that. Ah, look at these two little guys just poking at their little buttons. Is there even like a steering wheel? The one guy's got a yoke, so maybe that's forwards and backwards, and he has to use the touchscreen for left and right. I don't know exactly how it works, but I really like it. I have painted up most of the units available for the Rebels. One that I particularly enjoy are the Wookiees. Some of my fondest memories of episode 3 are the 2 minutes that the Wookiees and the planet Kashyyyk are on screen, but I really like them. And I actually do have 2 of the Wookiee catamarans. Or no, they don't have the catamaran. It's the smaller skimmer vehicle, the Fluttercraft. I have 2 of those because I do want to do a Wookiee army. And I was reading the new rules for Legion 4.0, which is the new edition of Legion, and there are rules to still do a Oops All Wookiees force. And I don't even think, looking at the rules online, that it does look like you have to field a little bit of clone troopers along with your Wookiees, but I was talking with somebody at the friendly local game store, and also it does seem like Star Wars Legion is popping off at my local scene. You can take only Wookiees, which would kind of be my goal. I would like to put together an entire Wookiee army. I have really enjoyed the Rebels. It's also really nice to have the Rebels on one side and the Imperials are on the other, because if I get sick of painting white Stormtrooper armor, then I can paint kind of whatever I want with the Rebel Alliance. And then if I want to actually be able to get through things really fast, then I can just hop back over to the Imperials. I have a similar amount of Stormtroopers. I think I have more Stormtroopers, but I think you would take more Stormtroopers in-game. The Rebels are a little bit more elite. And speaking of elite, I've got some Fleet troopers. These guys are kind of my favorites. I love in the Tantive 4 when Darth Vader is blowing his way onto the ship and killing off all of these poor suckers. But I really hope that these guys get remade in plastic. Although I feel like the PVC was a little bit friendlier to these miniatures than some of the other Rebels. Boy, those faces. Those little PVC faces are definitely something. I don't know if they're faces. And I have a ton of Rebel Commandos. These guys are the Rogue One guys. I think there are actually 2 units in here because there is a unit that is specifically the Rogue One guys. And then there's Rebel Commandos, who are kind of, I guess, the guys who are helping out Leia and Han Solo at the Battle of Endor take the bunker. Also, just a weird caveat about Star Wars. So in Return of the Jedi, they land Shuttle Tiberius on the planet and move across the jungle. And then all of the heroes immediately get captured by the Ewoks. What did those Rebel Commandos do for like the next 2 days? Did they just say, well, all of our heroes are gone. I guess we're gonna do our best and complete the mission? I'd only realized that rewatching the movie as an adult, but it is funny that everyone important goes away immediately. And why did they bring C-3PO? What if they painted C-3PO camouflage? That would have been really cool. Why not? He's a robot. They don't care if they're mean to him. That would have been, I might have to get, R2 and C-3PO are in the game. I don't know if you still have to buy them. They came out in a terrain set, I want to say. But I think R2 and C-3PO are really good Legion minis, so I might have to acquire those somewhere, and maybe I will do my camouflage idea. C-3POs are really cool robots in Star Wars. C-3PO himself is maybe not like the coolest guy, but maybe a different actual protocol droid that is a little bit different could be a really cool include in this collection. I would really like to get back into the game of Star Wars Legion. I've only played a few games, and that was back in the Disney. I think that was maybe an edition and a half ago. Although I do remember some very fond memories of Luke Skywalker cutting one of Sean's AT-STs in half. Another friend of mine that Sean played with more often had never ever once managed to kill one of Sean's AT-STs. He had 2, of course, because they're really good. but Luke Skypotter was able to cut one of those suckers down, and it was a really, really cool moment. Star Wars Legion does look like a ton of fun, and I think for my first games of Star Wars Legion 4th edition, I will be bringing the Rebels. Other than what is shown here, some Tauntaun riders would be kind of cool. Oh, and is there anything else I'm really missing? I would like Leia. I think she would go well with my Endor-themed Rebel Alliance. And there's a huge 3D printing scene for Star Wars Legion. Anything you can think of in the entire game exists somewhere online, and you can definitely get it. And there's there's some more really, really cool aliens that I would like to add to this force. I need more Greedos. Rodions, Greedo himself is one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters, and just the Rodion is such a classic Star Wars alien. I would like to see some more of them. And you know what else I would like to see some more of? Some more of the awesome hobby products available on EonsOfBattle.com. Over there, we're all restocked on our excellent hobby goodies: Gamer Grass Tufts, Grey Tide Studio Bits for your Space Marines, Army Painter paints, brushes, base and cork, ultra thin and ultra thick super glue, and we've got terrain. It's the best way to support us doing what we do by getting a membership. Each month, members get a credit good for any one terrain pack we've ever made, or the brand new one. New in May, we have created the Cyber City, a set of terrain perfect for any fast-paced war game. These beautiful gleaming buildings are the picture of future affluence, ready to be fought over and on top of. These pieces were designed to give plenty of line-of-sight blocking terrain, with lots of room on top for miniatures to stand on. And with a stacking system, you can build your boards up into the air with lots of catwalks and staircases to let you battle in the third dimension. To sprinkle around the city, there are some sci-fi accessories like the line-of-sight blocking hologram projectors, rooftop doors, and computer terminals, crates, and snack machines, everything a future battlefield needs. This terrain set was designed by us and is available at EonsOfBattle.com. This year, I've made it my New Year's resolution to play more war games, and I've been doing a good job of playing a bunch of pickup games and league games at my local store of Warhammer 40,000. And almost every single time I go in, I always see some other people playing Star Wars Legion. And I do some hardcore window shopping, looking over at what models they have. It looks like a really, really cool game, and I've heard nothing but good things about the new edition. So I might be having to do some more Star Wars Legion. Please let me know in the comments below what Legion things that I should take a look at next. And if anybody plays the battle droids, please let me know what are some of the must-have units. Currently, I have a bunch of Stap speeder bikes and not the crab droids, the dwarf spider droids. And that's it. Oh, and some Geonosians. Other than that, the sky is the limit on battle droids. Thanks for watching.